Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You get divorced. You get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and a little bit of laughter. Because as we know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here with, I would say, like a divorce expert to the, you know everything about everything. And one of our amazing Fresh Starts experts who we adore, Oona. Oona, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on the show. It's really
Of
a delight
course.
to be a Fresh Start expert and to get to interact with your community.
Any chance I get to talk to you, it makes a good day. So what do you do, Oona?
So I am a therapist. I'm based in Boston, and I've been a therapist for about 30 years. And now, maybe about 15 years ago, I decided to start divorce support groups for women. I started the first group. It filled up immediately. I started a second one. That filled up immediately. And then I started a third one. And all three of those groups are still going today. Different members, of course, but they're ongoing groups. So they've been going on for 15 years. And it's one of my favorite things that I do. And I also see individuals, but today we're going to be talking about the groups. And I also wanted to say that because there's such a huge need for support groups and there are so few out there, I finally got to the point where I had about 60 people on a wait list. And I felt terrible because I know when people are going through a divorce, they need support right now. They don't want to wait. And so I started a fellowship program where I'm training mental health therapists to lead the support groups. So I give them all the nuts and bolts of what they need to lead the groups. And we have just this year gone national. So we have 3 more groups in Boston that have started with these wonderful therapists, and then somebody in New York City and somebody in Austin, Texas, and just gathering names for the next cohort. So that's
so
been
cool.
Really exciting.
Yeah.
And the third thing about me is that I have written a book, and it's going to be coming out in January of 2026.
Yeah.
It's a book for women about the emotional journey of divorce. So not the legal parts, not the financial parts, but really the emotional pieces of divorce.
Yeah.
So it's called Unhitched.
Unhitched. We're so excited for it. And it's so necessary because we get so swept up in the financial and the legal and the physical aspects that we don't give ourselves time to even, I'm 5 years out and I think I'm still processing some of the, divorce grief and stuff like that. And it's the second hardest thing people go through, right? On that list of things people go through. The first is the death of a spouse. So if divorce is the second, right?
Right.
It stirs up so many things. And so, yes, it can be totally isolating, right? To go through this. I'm sure when you started these support groups 15 years ago, you never thought that you would go national, which is really, really amazing.
Nope.
So what is it like when I hear support group, I think of like in Heartburn, is it Heartburn when she goes to the therapy group and but so what does it look like? What is a support group for divorce?
Yeah. So the groups I run, I do them in person and I keep them small. There are only 6 women in them at a time. And I don't set the topics. I don't say, this week we're going to be talking about self-esteem or whatever. It's really whatever is on the minds of the women in the group. And they come in and they really use the group as an incredible emotional support. So they can talk about anything related to the divorce. Sometimes people do talk about the legal or the financial aspects and they give each other wonderful tips because, for the most part, only a couple people have been through this before. But for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, everybody's going through divorce for the first time, and there's a lot to learn about it. Um, but I think more importantly is the emotional support that they get from it and knowing that they're going to walk into a room with other women who really get it. And I think so many people say to me before they start the group, how is it possible that half of marriages end in divorce? And I don't know anyone going through it. And I've got these great friends and I've got my sister
Yeah.
and they're all great supports, but they just don't get it in the same way. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a big relief when the women walk into the room. Um,
Yeah.
so that's one thing. And I also think that um when people come, they've been in a really rough marriage, and so their self-esteem has taken a hit. They often feel pretty disempowered. And
Yeah.
by being in a group setting where they see other women getting more and more empowered, um, they then begin to get that mirrored back to them as well. And they feel more empowered. So I feel like as a therapist, it's like such an incredibly satisfying, gratifying group to lead because people come in such a broken, like hard, stressed out, fearful place.
Yeah.
And when they leave, they're like almost a different person. They feel so much better and they're so empowered and they feel so much happier by the time they leave. So
I love that.
it's such a pleasure to lead the groups.
I'm sure they become friends in a way too, right?
They do, they do. They make lifelong friends from it.
I love
I
that.
do ask them while they're a member of the group that they don't socialize outside of the
Yeah.
group so that everybody can be on an even playing field. I think it could be pretty painful if after the group, 3 people are going out for
Mm-hmm.
drinks
Mm-hmm.
afterwards and somebody's not invited or somebody is invited, but they can't
Right.
go. So I really want everybody to be on an even
I
playing
love
field
that. I think that's
during.
important too. It's important too because like the world is small and you don't know who knows people. And like, I know I was always so afraid to talk about things because like, even with my neighbor, it's like, you don't know who's going to get back to this
Right.
person. Right. So
Yeah.
I love that so much. And I think so much of what you said too is we lose our voice in divorce. Excuse me. And so I think that like coming into a group and being able to literally speak, right? And say like I still have a voice. People still hear me, right? They listen to me. That must be so empowering for these women.
So empowering to have a voice and then first to have a voice in the
Yeah.
first place
Yeah.
and then to be able to use it. And then,
Yeah.
one of the things we really work on so much in the group is about boundaries and how you set boundaries and how you make, because every single boundary just about with your ex has to change.
Yeah.
And if you don't have children, you may they may change in a way where you never see again.
Yeah.
You may choose to, but you may not.
Yep.
But if you have children, you still have to maintain contact, but then every single boundary needs to change. And so, how do you kind of negotiate that? So
Yeah.
we give a lot of support for that too.
I love that so much. Um, so I guess we talked so much about the benefits of being in a group. What would you say to somebody who is curious about joining a group but nervous to join the group?
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Well, I think one of the things I would dig into is, like, what are they nervous about? Because I think a lot of people are nervous, and that makes sense. So one thing I would do is just normalize it. Like, of course you're nervous. You've never done this before. You're telling your story to a group of people. Um, are they nervous about the confidentiality? I meet with everybody twice individually before they come to the group. Everybody signs group agreements. And one of the group agreements is about confidentiality. And I really emphasize how important that is. People introduce themselves with their first name only, which helps a little bit. Um, so if that's what they're nervous about, I'd explain that. If they're nervous about that they're going to be too emotional, sometimes people don't want to show their emotions in front of other people. I reassure them that I have got a lot of Kleenex in my office and that there's a lot of people do cry in the group
Yeah.
and people laugh a lot too. So there's a wide range of emotions that go into it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people worry that maybe they're not going to connect to the other members. Like my story is so unique. How am I going to find somebody that has the same story as me? And what I always say to that is, you're not going to find every marriage is unique and every divorce is unique. But what I find is that the feelings regarding divorce are so similar and so connecting
Yeah.
and so resonant. And so one of the wonderful things about the group too is that somebody might come to the group and they're not quite sure how they're feeling about something. And then somebody else in the group verbalizes their feelings and says, well, here's how I'm feeling. And
Right.
it's this and this and this.
Right.
And then the a person who wasn't sure is like, oh my God, that's exactly how I feel. And then they're able to put words to their feelings too.
Yeah.
So even though the situations, like the content of what happened in your divorce is going to be different, the feelings that you're having, they're absolutely going to connect to the other members of the group.
Yeah.
Fear, the loneliness, the anger, the sadness, the relief,
Yeah. Oh,
sometimes,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So all of those feelings are welcome in the group.
Yeah, I was gonna say it probably normalizes it so much, right? It's like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
not a freak. For being relieved," right? Like, excuse me, I definitely was the person that was like both and for everything, right? I
Yes.
was like, "I'm so grateful and happy I'm going through a divorce, and also this is the most traumatizing thing I've been through." And I felt very shamed and I still do. I still am careful what I say sometimes, right? Because
Sure.
it's like, I feel like to be like, "Oh, divorce is a wonderful thing." For me, it was, but not that excuse me, my allergies are horrible. Not that the process wasn't hard. Like, the
True.
process was shitty and it was hard,
Right.
but knowing that I was gonna be free at the end of it, and that is a very hard message to convey because it's a lot of nuance, right? Like, so I
But I
think
think
yeah.
that's one of the biggest benefits of the group is that we are really able to hold on to that nuance. People are really, and I really create an environment of like, everybody's going to have their own process. We're not here to judge. Like, everybody's going through at
Yeah.
their own pace. Um, and really being able to hold the nuance. Like, I think it's so wonderful when somebody comes in week after week after week saying, like, I'm so angry at my ex. I'm so angry. And then one week comes in and says, you know what? I am so angry. And like, there are times when I miss that person.
Mhm.
And the group can say, yeah,
Yeah.
rather than like, well, you shouldn't miss him. You should just be mad. You
Yeah.
know, they
Yeah.
say, like, yeah, I get it. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
So that's
Totally.
another really wonderful thing.
I love that because your friends love you, but they don't always say the right thing, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So you are based in Boston and you're booked up. So if if people are curious about joining a group, what would be some things you would look for in a divorce support group?
Um, I mean, the problem is there's so few of them around. There are some online divorce support groups. I mean, I'm a therapist, so I have a bias that I really
Hmm.
want a group to be run by a therapist.
Yeah,
I think it provides a lot of containment. Um, but I also think community is really helpful. So even if people can't, and I'm happy to like, if anybody wants to contact me, I do have some
great,
contacts around the country, so I'm happy to give out those. If anybody wants to contact me on my website, it's oonametz.com.
perfect.
They can reach out, and anything I can do to help, I certainly will. But I think community in general is so important in divorce. And I know that there are Facebook groups that people
Hmm.
can be part of. I know that there are community groups that people can be part of. And so anything you can do to find other people who are going
Yeah,
through divorce, I think is really important. And ideally, a support group run by a therapist. But if
yeah.
you can't find that, then any kind of community that you can find, I think, is so important.
It is, but I'm gonna agree with you on that one because also like therapists understand, confidentiality and they understand like the importance of confidentiality going through a divorce and all of that. So but we just gotta get you training more people, Una. So
I
that's what
know.
we need to have happen. So Una, if somebody's listening to this and they're going through a divorce, what would be some words of encouragement that you could leave them with today?
I think the biggest word of encouragement is that you're gonna get through it and it's gonna be better on the other side. I know how painful and stressful it is if you're going through it right now. It's really, really hard. And like you said, Olivia, going through divorce is really hard, but being divorced, for so many people, it's really a wonderful place to be. And so I would say, hold on. I would say, get all the self-care you possibly can for yourself, because this is a hard time, but it's going to get better. It's going to get better on the other side.
I love that. What a way to end. Thank you so much, Oona.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Of course. Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.